So today we're going to carve the Mary from the Nativity set. For it, you're going to need a 4-inch tall block. This comes from a 1.5-inch block cut on a corner. Layout is pretty easy using this stencil. Just align it to the edge, make sure it lines up at the bottom, and trace around. So we trace the outside, and trace all the lines on the inside. And if you're curious as to the different tools that I use, or the pencils, or even how to find these stencils, just click the video description and it has all the links that you ever need in there. Do the same thing on the other side. Forgot to do this section, so we'll come back to that. Perfect. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing to do is do a stop cut right here. We're going to remove all the material between these two lines. And you're getting it nice and flat, and that's where the face is going to go, obviously. Just keep that in the background there so you can see what it is that we're working towards. Okay, that's pretty easy. So now we're just going to shape the sides. So remember, we're not going to carve into the wood in this direction, we're going to carve into it like this. So this line, we're not going to go past it if the knife is perpendicular to the back of this grain right here, this side. That's pretty much how we want our side to end up. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so yeah, so you see this is angled that way. It doesn't angle this way or that way. It's angled straight back in line with that back wall. Okay, let's do the other side. Alright, and so we'll come back and round those over, but let's work on these other sections first. So, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and connect these lines. Cool. So all this section right here, we're going to take off. And we're going to cut from line to line. So the first thing to do is we're going to start up here. So the hands come down at a diagonal, but there's two ways to do it. I like putting a stop cut right in the middle and then coming down like this. You could just start with that diagonal and then work your way the other way, but I find this is safer and I'm not going to bite in more than I need. Now I'm just going to remove the rest of this material. I don't know what it is with this batch, this wood is very, very soft. And it seems like I'm cutting super easily, and it's just that this wood is like that. So if yours takes a little bit longer to carve, don't worry, I have very soft wood. Okay, so next thing is using a V-tool, and we're going to trace out these lines, and that's going to be the robe section right here. So if you can, just leave a hair of the line. Try not to completely erase it. Okay, and do the inside one as well. Right, and now let's relief cut it on the sides right there. And just come with your knife. That's the trickiest part right there, that bend. There we go. I'm going to just taper it in slightly. Okay, let's do the inside. Remember, you got to cut downhill, so the grain's going this way. We don't want to cut into the end grain. Turn the piece upside down. just like that. And smooth that over just a little bit. Alright, and do the same thing on the other side. And that's what happened when you cut into end grain. So right there, that tear out right there, that's because I was cutting into the end grain and I thought I was doing the right thing and I got confused. So right, and the last one right here. Forgot to do this small section right here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do the top of the hands. So what I'd like to do is 2 crosses, one in this direction, or rather one cross, and one in that direction. And I just come from the top and I remove that material. Let me just clean it up. And remember, with carving, depth is your friend. So the deeper you go with the sides here, the better it's going to look. You're going to have more contrast with the shadows. So, yeah. Okay. Alright, so I know it looks a little jagged right here, but we're going to do the face before we do the rest of that section, and then the sides as well. So let's put the face on here and I'll show you how we do that. So to do the face, I use this stencil, and I put it right where I want it, right here. Kind of equal amount of space on top and on the bottom. Alright, there we go. So outline, we're just going to trace it out and then relief cut the inside of the face. Those bends are tricky. Remember, to make them easier, just bring the knife outward. Don't bury it in there as deep as you can. So if you're doing a straight cut, pretty deep is okay, but once you're doing the bend, take it out to about 1/16 of an inch, which is easier said than done. And then that allows you to really get that curve, at least the first time, and then you'll be able to come back in and do it a second time. And remember, this is not just a cut once and forget about it. You may have to come back to it, but yeah, lighter is better, at least initially. I'll just take all that material off in the center. Alright, cool. So now let's go ahead and start rounding out the sides, these edges right here. That's what happens with soft wood. You get that tear out on the end grain. Okay. Let's go ahead and round over the top section right here. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's clean up the side of the hands a little bit too. Make this a little bit more continuous. Alright, and now let's do the bottom part of the face here. So, your knife, just score it down like this, and kind of flare it out just a little bit. You can see it's kind of not very deep in there. Now come in from this side, and it's almost like a chip cut. Like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Not very deep. And finish that chip cut. Different knives are going to be more beneficial here than this one. I have a large roughing knife. If you have a detail knife, it's probably easier. I usually like to just stick to one knife though.
When I refilm this video, it seems like it's being a little uninspiring.
Why?
Well, you should be like, oh, it's ripped out, oh, I'm using the wrong knife, oh.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay. If you say so.
Cool.
Thank goodness for your son.
That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to push the face back a little bit more, that way I can get it a little bit rounder. So that's just a series of scoring the sides again and the top, the whole perimeter, and coming back in and removing more material so I can round over the face. There we go. And the last thing to do is this little crease right here. That's excellent. Now we can stand up. Alright folks, so we just carved a Mary. Make sure to check the video description below for links to carve a Joseph and a manger. Thanks for watching.